and welcome back, y'all. So, today we're going to go over what I watched in the month of December. I know I'm getting this a little bit late up, but I've just been having other things to do and I didn't feel like recording right away. So, now I am going to actually share what I watched in the month of December. So, there's definitely some Christmas overlap in here a little bit too. I was trying to do like the watch along normally with like the horror queers do it every year, but I just kind of fell off the face for that, honestly. And yeah, but I ended up watching some winter themed movies and another stuff that I just ended up watching, and we'll talk about that now. So let's start at the beginning. So actually, this last month, Criterion Channel had a collection of films by John Waters, and so of course you have like some of the tried and true like Crybaby and like Hairspray and a couple things like that. But also they did have the film Desperate Living from 1977, which is the first thing I watched. And so if you don't know what Desperate Living is, this is part of the I guess you call it the Trash trilogy, which is Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, and then Desperate Living, and that's kind of a part of that. And so this movie is about Peggy Grable, played by Mink Stole, and her nurse, Griselda. They end up in this weird town called Mortville after killing, by accident, kind of, the husband of Betty after she has like a horrible nervous breakdown. And anyway, Queen Carlotta is the one who presides over this Mortville place, played by Edith Massey, and it's kind of just them living in squalor, I guess, but also like they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to survive in this environment, but also like they're trying to make a better life for themselves. One of the characters, who's played by, Liz Renee is one of the people, but then Susan Lowe is the other one. Who's Mole, and they're like a kind of trans man, I guess, who like wants a penis, and like it's a whole thing, and it's ridiculous and crazy. But I gave this a 3.5. I think I generally enjoyed this. It's not like my top three or anything for John Waters because I already have like a idea of how much I like some of his movies and whatever. But I did not hate this though. I think I'd watch this over like Multiple Maniacs, for example. But like, yeah, it's a weird one for sure. But hey, what movie that has a baby in a refrigerator can I not turn down? You know what I mean? So yeah, but that's what I watched the first of the month. I then ended up watching the Advent Calendar from 2021. So this is like a French movie, I believe. So this is about Ava, who is an ex-dancer. She has since been paralyzed, and she is in a wheelchair, I guess. She's unable to walk, and her friend gives her like this old advent calendar before Christmas, and she realizes that every window of the advent calendar contains a little surprise, and it triggers these like repercussions in real life. Some of them are good and some of them are not good. So she has to like choose between getting rid of the calendar or walking again, even if it may cause death to her. I didn't really have much to say about this. I thought it was a fine watch. I gave it a 3 out of 5. You have to kind of focus and pay attention on this, but I thought it was a fine time. Again, it's a French movie. There's some kind of weird shit going on here and there, but it is interesting, and I did generally like it. Or for the most part, like I would say, like if you want to watch it at least once, go ahead. But again, this might hit for some people and may not for others, so I understand that. The next thing I watched could be considered a horror movie to some, but I actually thought it was kind of fun, and it has been kind of making not the news, but like it was definitely noticed. This is Hot Frosty from 2024. This is the Netflix movie with Justin Milligan and Lacey Chabert, where Justin Milligan is a snowman turned human, and he's pretty much teaching Lacey Chabert how to love again after her husband died, and that's pretty much what this is. And you have Craig Robinson in here somewhere. You have good old Sherry Miller in here in a little part. Very Canadian. Oh my god! But of course, but yeah, people have been noticing this from the Netflix, and I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. As you may know, I'm not like the hugest on the Hallmark movies necessarily. I mean, I loved like Letters to Satan Claus, obviously, but I'm not like a huge like a Hallmark person like that. And so this is not a Hallmark movie, but it definitely comes from people who obviously have made them and all of that kind of stuff. But I actually kind of liked it. Like I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 and a little heart. I just thought it was fun. Like, I was a little perturbed by like Dustin Milligan's like either hair or his face, like a little bit, because I was like, wait a minute, because I remember him from Schitt's Creek. He's Alexis's obviously her boyfriend, and so and the vet, the local vet and whatever. But like, I was just like, wait, what's going on with him? But like, it was fine though. After a while, I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, I did like it, and I didn't mind it. I was also planning to maybe watch that other one, The Married Gentleman with who was it? Is it not Channing Tatum? It's that other guy, Chad Michael Murray. That's who that is. Oh my god, I really think they're the same person. It's fine. Anyway, so that's what I ended up watching. So yes, the next thing I watched is Back on the Horror Train, and I hadn't really seen this before. If not, whatever, I don't know. But I watched Jack Frost from 1997. That is the horror version and not the Michael Keaton version. So this is about pretty much a killer snowman, and he is coming back to this town, I guess, that like, I don't know, he's like the spirit of a criminal, and he gets put into this like snowman somehow, and then he is deciding to kill some people. It is the film debut of one Shannon Elizabeth, fun little thing, and it's weird. I mean, like the opening of this movie is kind of annoying. One of the actresses in the movie is like voicing this like really annoying like little girl's voice, and yeah, I mean, I gave this a 3 out of 5, like maybe even like a 2.5 out of 5, maybe. Like it's not like a great movie, but I mean, if you want a killer snowman, like why the hell not? And it's not the worst thing you can like spend your time watching, I guess. But yeah, so that's what I ended up watching and spending time on. The next thing I watched was All the Creatures Were Stirring. This is an anthology movie. I found it on Shudder, I think. This one is about so this like little date that happens on Christmas Eve with this like couple. They go to this like little theater, I guess in LA, and they are watching these different like Christmas themed stories. So you have everything from like an office Christmas party turned wrong. You have just like some other stories. To be honest, I don't even remember what some of these things were, and I feel horrible for that. But I will say this much. I personally think you can skip this one. I don't think I enjoyed it overall. Like I didn't really care a whole lot about it. It does have Constance Wu in it, who is from Fresh Off the Boat. This is back in 2018, so she's kind of a standout in like I think the last story that she is in actually. And it was fun also seeing Meredith from Mad Men, the actress who plays her. She was also in here because I also have been watching a little bit of Mad Men as well. So she plays one of the secretaries in the later seasons of Mad Men, and I was just like, oh my god, I knew who that is. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was fun. But I don't think I could recommend All the Creatures Are Stirring. And there's another movie that also has a similar name to this. It's also on Shudder, I think, but that's not the one I'm talking about. That other one is like with Chrissy Metz from This Is Us and whatever, and I didn't watch that one, so I don't know. Anyway, so then the next thing I watched is also something I don't want you to watch, and it's called The Elf from 2016. Me and Nathan from I Hope You Suffer had a fun conversation on Instagram about this. Yeah, no, it was I didn't like this. This is pretty much about a killer elf, I guess. Like this guy goes to this thrift store with his like girlfriend, and they find this like elf or some shit, or like some like I don't know, like a toy chest or something, and then like there's some killer ass elf in it, I guess. And it was just really boring and not very good. It's 91 minutes and it felt longer, and it was really annoying, and I had way more fun scrolling on my phone than watching it, really. So don't watch The Elf. I think it sucked. It was really bad, and I did that for you, everybody. And I wish I didn't, but it's fine. Next thing I watch is a rewatch. It is a Krampus from 2015. I gave this a 3 out of 5. If you don't know what Krampus is, this stars Miss Toni Collette and Adam Scott and a mix of other different people. It's a Michael Dougherty movie, so he's the same guy who did Trick or Treat from 2007, I think. Yeah, pretty much this young boy Max, he has Christmas time with his family, has some of his relatives come in. It's a whole dysfunctional family sort of setup kind of a thing. And his German grandma is, all about like she had her own experience with Krampus in the past, and Krampus is coming to beat all their ass, pretty much, and that's what this is. So I loved Toni Collette in this movie. I thought she was great. I think I like Trick or Treat and more than this, honestly, but I had watched Trick or Treat way before this. But this is a fun little time. I don't think it's anything too bad. I haven't seen the director's cut of this, or the naughty cut, quote unquote, that they call it, but I kind of want to see it just to see if it's any more bloody or like any of that kind of stuff. That could be fun. The next thing I watched was actually from the Horror Quiz recommendation, and I ended up renting this, but it was a fun little time. It's called You Are Not Me. This is from 2023. It's a Mexican movie, I believe, or like some sort of Spanish movie. This is about I think this girl, so her partner, who was a woman, her partner is Brazilian. I think she's Mexican, and they're going back to her family's house. When they go back to her family's house to like surprise them, they find that there's like this woman there who's like staying there with them. She also has a brother who's like in a wheelchair, and like there's just this like weird woman that her family has like brought into the house, and it's almost kind of like an imposter sort of a thing, but then it turns a little bit more sinister than that. And actually that imposter is, you have to watch the movie to find out what happens. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a nice little queer horror film. You have a lesbian couple at the forefront of it. I wasn't like blown away by it by any means, but I did think it was perfectly good. I gave it a 3 out of 5 like that. And it was a good time. If you're interested in like watching a foreign film, or if you want to watch like kind of an imposter sort of film, I would definitely recommend this one. And it's a good little Christmas horror film, so that's always fun too. Next thing I watched was because it finally premiered on Paramount Plus. I've been meaning to watch it, and I ended up watching Smile 2 from 2024 last year. And I ended up really liking Smile 2. It had come recommended from a couple different people who just also really enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the first Smile mostly enough. Sosie Bacon was really good in it, and then also, like, of course, I love Kyle Gallner. So this one, I mean, it was such a ride. I like this whole idea of following a pop star, and they're kind of troubled in their own way, and are what they seeing really real sometimes. I know some people didn't like that angle of this, but honestly, I didn't mind it. And Naomi Scott is fantastic in this movie. I know of her from Lemonade Mouth, of course, but I mean, Jesus Christ, like, she was just so good in this movie. And I don't dislike these movies necessarily. Again, some people may have different opinions, but that's fine. I am glad I finally watched this. The next thing I watched was Black Christmas from 1974. This is a rewatch, of course. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I think I gave it a 5 at first, and I kind of, I feel like my my star meter has, like, kind of going up and down with this, but overall, like, I think I do enjoy this movie. It's obviously a classic. This is about a sorority of girls who are staying at their house over Christmas break, and then a killer is pretty much stalking them and taking them down one by one. It's also unfortunate. I watched this in the beginning of the month, and then later on in the month, Olivia Hussey, who plays Jess, unfortunately passed away. And she's an icon, obviously. I mean, she's in this movie. She was in the It miniseries. She was Topanga's aunt in Boy Meets World. Like, obviously, she's Juliet from Romeo and Juliet back in the 60s. It's a whole thing. So, rest in peace to her. But I loved her so much. And all I said in my little Letterboxd review was just, hello? And I also said, ho, 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 fuck. That's fun. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching, doing a little fun rewatch. Next thing I watched was a movie called Red Snow from 2021. This is like a vampire movie kind of a thing. So this woman who is a romance novelist, but she also wants to like do some vampire romance. She has to defend herself against some real life vampires while she is staying in at Lake Tahoe around Christmas time. And yeah, I mean, this is a low budget ass movie, but I didn't mind that. It was kind of a fun time. I liked the main character. I thought she was cool. Her name's Olivia. And then you have like the one hot vampire that she's like into, that she ends up kind of she kind of captures him and like keeps him in the garage or whatever. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I don't know, it was a fine time. I didn't mind my watch of this, honestly. It was a perfectly good movie. So again, it's like pretty middle of the road, but like, especially for a low budget kind of film, I didn't mind it. Next thing I watched was from 2005, and it's the Ginger Dead Man with with Gary Busey. It's a Charles Band movie. So yeah, I ended up watching this. Only thing I know about it is that Gary Busey's in it, and it's about a killer. It's about a killer who ends up being put into a gingerbread man, I guess, and he's killing people in this like small town, and that's pretty much it. I give this a 2. Like, I mean, if you want to watch it, I mean, it's like obviously stupid and ridiculous. This is just kind of what Charles Band is known for. He's known for doing just like ridiculous, over the top stuff in his movies, especially for any full moon feature, which I think this is a part of. So, I mean, you get what you will in this movie. Obviously, it's a killer gingerbread man. But yeah, I mean, it might be a fun little schlocky time if you want to watch it. The other thing that I will also say you should not watch, because I hated it, was Red Christmas from 2016. This is a movie. Has Dee Wallace in it, and then for some reason Dee Wallace has all these Australian children, mostly because the director of this is Australian. And yeah, no, I hated this movie. I was wondering why the hell she had Australian children, but okay, fine. And I just didn't like any of this. Like, it was just, there's like this weird abortion subplot. There's this just like weird fucking shit. Could not I did not like this movie at all, and I ended up using some of my Canopy tickets to watch it, and I'm very upset about it. I want to get those refunded, honestly, but it's fine. Uh, mm, so annoying. But anyway, so there's that. The next thing I watched, though, was a little bit more fun. You can watch it on YouTube for free right now. It's called Trevenge. And this is pretty much about a bunch of Christmas trees who decide that they do not want to, keep dealing with the humans' bullshit. And they decide to uprise and kill a bunch of people. And it's kind of awesome, honestly. I didn't mind it. It was a good time. So this is on YouTube right now, and you can go watch it. I thought it was a good little time. It's a short, too, so it's only like literally 15 minutes. Like, you can watch it very easily. But yeah, I liked Trevenge, so go watch it. It's really good. Next thing I watched is a rewatch. This is of Better Watch Out from 2016. This is a movie by Chris Peckover, who is a gay guy. And this is about a little neighborhood where this girl, played by, what's her name? Olivia DeJonge. Ashley, her name is. She is babysitting this kid, Luke, played by Levi Miller. And, pretty much some shit goes down, and what we find out is there was a twist. Okay, I think I might have talked about this before, just because I did watch this before. But yeah, Better Watch Out is definitely not for everybody, but I will say that like it is kind of a home invasion movie, sort of. But then things are not always as they seem, and yeah, I don't mind this movie. Some people really don't like it, but I kind of liked it. I gave it 3.5 and a little heart. It's something I can kind of come back to and be like, oh, okay, that was a fine time. Next thing I watched was actually kind of a I ended up watching these for an upcoming guest appearance I'm doing on on a podcast, and I think if you go to the Instagram, you'll find more about that. It's with Will Soto from Red Treehouse Horror. I think. I'm so sorry if I butchered that, but again, go to the Instagram, you'll see it. But anyway, I ended up watching Night of the Demons, Night of the Demons 2, and also the remake of Night of the Demons as well. So yeah, I've already talked about these before, so I don't think I have to go into too much depth. Pretty much like the Night of the Demons is about a Halloween party gone wrong. Night of the Demons 2 is the sequel to that, where a Halloween party at a Catholic high school goes wrong. And then the remake is pretty much a Halloween party at an old mansion goes wrong. And it's set in 2009 or whatever. So, yeah. For me, so I gave 3.5 out of 5 for Night of the Demons. I gave Night of the Demons 2 4 out of 5 stars. So I think it's a better movie. And then Night of the Demons 2009, I actually give a 3 out of 5. Because for me, I actually don't dislike that movie as much. I think as time goes on, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this movie is stupid, but like that's fine. Like, even the first one, like, I mean, it's cool and everything. I mean, it's great, but like it's also not the best film in the world necessarily. So I mean, but it is a good time. Like I think Night of the Demons is a classic for a reason, and there's some good special effects in there. The story itself is just not as interesting, and I always just find that Night of the Demons 2 is a little bit more of an interesting story going on. Next thing I watched was actually for an upcoming guest appearance I'm doing as well, not with Will, but with some other folks. And this is Disturbing Behavior from 1998. I gave this a 3.5 and a little heart. I watched it with the director's commentary, actually. And yeah, so this movie, along with the deleted scenes as well, it just makes me wish that this movie didn't get hacked to bits like it did. I talked about this on an episode before. Again, I'm going to be talking about it on another episode on another show in a bit, but like yeah, this movie is pretty much Stepford Wives in Cradle Bay, pretty much, and it's about how this town has this shit going on, and like they decide all these teens need to now be perfect. So yeah, but I generally enjoyed it for the most part, and I own this on Blu-ray and everything. So yeah, I do like this movie generally, and I think it just has flaws in its editing, and that's just unfortunate because that wasn't necessarily the director's fault, but it is what it is. The next thing I watched was actually something I ended up starting to watch a couple months ago, and then I just got back to watching it now. It's a movie called Strange Behavior, or it's also called Dead Kids. It's by Michael Laughlin, and this is about these teenagers in a small town. They're being murdered, and there are some mysterious scientific experiments that are happening at the local university, and just a bunch of shit goes down pretty much. I watched this because it was on the when I went on the Disturbing Behavior like Wikipedia page. For some reason, this movie is also like in related items or something. This movie is not really like Disturbing Behavior necessarily, but this is actually a Ozploitation movie. This makes you think that it's in a Midwestern town, but no, it's not. It's in an Australian town because it was all shot in Australia. But anyway, this was an interesting time. I think the pacing of this movie could be a little bit better, but overall, I think it's a fine watch. It's definitely one of those things where it's kind of a mad scientist kind of a thing, and like what's going on in this like weird town, you know what I mean? But like for the most part, it was a fine time. I didn't mind it. But I'm not like reticent to want to watch it again like immediately. Next thing I watched was just good Christmas fun for the whole family. I ended up watching Female Trouble from 1974. So as I stated, I watched just Desperate Living earlier this month. So for Christmas, I ended up kind of watching some stuff, and Female Trouble was there. I honestly feel like, so I'll talk about another John Waters movie in just a minute, but This oscillates between my favorite John Waters movie, honestly, out of all of them I've seen. This is about Dawn Davenport and her fucking career progression as a criminal, you know what I mean? And I just love this like stupid trash. It's so good. Yeah, like everything about it is like fantastic. It's ridiculous, it's crazy, it just gives you an arc, you know, and I loved it. And it was of course on Criterion Channel because of the John Waters collection they were doing. Next thing I watched after that is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, Hairspray from 1988. So it goes between either being Hairspray or Female Trouble is my favorite, but I love Hairspray a lot. This movie I watched when I was a kid. We all kind of know what it's about. It's about Tracy Turnblad, fat girl in Baltimore who goes and ends up being on the Corny Collins show, but also she decides to be an ally for people of color and to fight against racism in 1960s era Baltimore. And that's kind of what this is, really. But I generally liked Hairspray, and I do generally like this movie. Like I've seen obviously the movie musical, and you know, it was a good time. Like all of it's a good time all around. So but yeah, it definitely oscillates between those. But I had a good little time with watching some John Waters movies this month. Next thing I watched was actually another Christmas movie. It is a Danish Christmas movie, I believe, or something like that. It's called Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. This was on Shudder, I believe, so I decided to watch it. And it's pretty much about this like kid and his father in Finland, so it is Finnish. And pretty much these kids, this kid and his dad, they end up, the father and this like local team make this like horrifying discovery that an evil Santa is unleashed, and that's pretty much what it is from there. There's this evil ass Santa, there are these evil ass elves that are all like these old men who are naked. It's like a whole thing. It's a weird ass movie. I give it a 3 out of 5. I would recommend it at least once to watch it, but I thought it was a good time. Yeah, I generally liked this movie, so yeah, go watch it. Like I said, it's on Shudder, so you can watch it there if you have a Shudder subscription. The next thing I watched was for an episode I released at the end of the year. I ended up rewatching 200 Cigarettes from 1999. This is about a New Year's Eve in 1981 in New York City, and you follow all these different like 20-somethings who are kind of coping with different friendships, relationships, loneliness, and all that other fun shit on New Year's Eve. It has like a star-studded little cast, and it's a good little time. I gave this a 3 out of 5 and a little heart. I actually had to re-record the episode. I recorded it a little bit ago with Bobby Master, and then I ended up losing the file for that, so I had to re-record all of it over again, which was super fun. But yeah, so I ended up doing that, and this was such a good time, in my opinion. Yeah. So ended up watching that. The next thing I watched was actually, it was because it was on, what the hell was it on? It was on HBO, that's where it was. And I decided to watch The Full Monty from 1997. This movie is about these Sheffield English men who, some of them have been laid off from their steelworking jobs, and pretty much this is about these men who get together and they decide they're going to do a one night only kind of strip show, a la Chippendales. And this has Robert Carlyle in it. We know him from Ravenous and also Trainspotting and other stuff. It also has Tom Wilkinson in it as well. He plays like the kind of older man in the movie. But this is very British, very English, of course. And I really liked this personally. I had always heard about it, and I thought it was actually such a really nice story, honestly. And I really enjoyed my watch of it. I'd probably own this, honestly. It's so cool to see a movie where you have this like group of men, but they're okay with being like vulnerable with one another, and they are just so nice to one another, and there isn't any sort of like super masculine machismo going on or any of that kind of stuff. And really, this is about a boy and his, it's about a father and his son, really, at the core of it. But it's just interesting to kind of see how these relationships all kind of progress through the movie. And it's a really good time. If you have an HBO subscription, I would highly recommend watching it, if you've never seen it before. The next thing I watched was actually part of a Christmas present that I got. I got 7 new movies that are on physical media, and I decided to pop one in. And I watched Carrie from 1976. You already know what it's about. I mean, it's about my girl, Carrie White, who shows those bitches what's what at prom. Okay, listen. And it's a good time. I got the Ultra HD 4K of this, so it's like the fun collector's edition they had. And it's so good. Like, the picture is so pretty. Brian De Palma knows how to like make a fucking movie and make it look so pretty and nice. And this movie is so good. I give it a 5, and that's just it. That's all you got, so there you go. It's perfect. And then the last film that I watched this month was actually in the Gregoraki movie collection, and it was on HBO, so I was like, oh, let me pull up on this real quick. I ended up watching White Bird in a Blizzard from 2014. So this movie is about a girl in 1988, and her mom ends up going missing, and she's trying to figure out like what has gone on for her mom to go missing. Her dad is played by Chris Maloney. This is Shailene Woodley, and then her mom is Ava Green. If you don't know who she is, she's a French actress. Some people may know her from that movie The Dreamers with Michael Pitt and that other guy where they're like having a threesome or whatever. But yeah, Chris Maloney plays her dad. Shiloh Fernandez from the Evil Dead remake and also Dead Girl plays her boyfriend. Angela Bassett's there. Gabrielle Sidibe's there. It's a good... Thomas Jane is there. Dale Dickey's there. They got some good people up in here for a little cast. And this movie is based off of a book, actually, but I actually didn't dislike it too much. I will say I gave it a 3 out of 5. For me, like, there are some people who do not like this movie, and I kind of get it. I will say Gregoraki knows how to give you a distinct soundtrack, because anytime you watch any of his movies, I will generally say like you see his like taste in music come through 100%, and that is definitely the fact in this movie. And it's kind of twisty turny. There's a twist in it, as well. So I don't know, like if you're at all a Gregoraki movie person and you want to watch one, I would do this one. It was kind of not a bad time, truly. So yeah. And that, my friends, is what I watched in the month of December. So as I stated already, I am taking the month of January off. I am trying to, just get some stuff together for next month, of course. But you won't be hearing any, new episodes, except for this one, I guess. Through the month of January. Who knows? I might have some little things I can, sprinkle in here and there. But like I stated, I also have some guest appearances coming up as well. So I'll share more about those as time goes on. But I hope you all had a great holiday season, or at least it was bearable enough, depending on how you view the holidays, I guess. But as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this show. Please go listen to the back catalog while I'm not uploading anything new right now. And I will see y'all on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.